Now this video is for all the Lindsey Williams haters. 2015 came and gone. There was no big crash at the end of the year. It's over. Everything's fine. No crash is coming. There's not $19 trillion in debt that the country can't pay back. The shipping numbers aren't worse than they've ever been. Etc., etc., etc. Oil, of course, down below 30. So, got a couple of links we're going to talk about. Let me open both of these up. First one, this is actually from mainstream media. CNN? What? Posted yesterday, January 12th. $1 trillion erased from stocks so far in 2016. A trillion in an entire year doesn't sound good. But we just started 2016. And from the time frame this thing's talking about, it's only been a few days into 2016. And $1 trillion has been wiped out. What? Wall Street's disastrous start to 2016 has caused roughly $1 trillion to vanish from the stock market. The eye-popping losses highlight the deep fears that has gripped financial markets over China's economic slowdown and crashing oil prices. Oh, so the markets. Deep fears that has gripped financial markets. So markets have feelings. Gripped financial markets over China's economic slowdown and crashing oil prices. I had no idea that markets had feelings. The eye-popping losses highlight the deep fears that has gripped financial markets. So these deep fears have gripped these markets. Wow. Then again, people define, corporations are now people according to the U.S. Supreme Court. They ruled on that a few years ago, and then ever since, companies can now donate pretty much unlimited funds to their favorite politician. Because now corporations are also defined as people. The 1-2 punch, says CNN, caused the Dow and S&P 500 to suffer their worst start to a trading year on record. That means ever. Last week. The S&P's market valuation has plunged by $1.04 trillion since the end of 2015, according to S&P Dow Jones indices. To put that stunning figure into context, it's like wiping out the combined value of the following tech giants: Google, Facebook, Intel, Netflix, and Yahoo. Imagine waking up tomorrow and those companies have been wiped off the face of the earth. Because that's what their entire net worth is combined. About $1 trillion. The Dow's market cap has plunged by $310 billion through Monday's close, according to S&P Dow Jones indices. That's equivalent to ExxonMobil, worth $309 billion, being erased from the index. Let's go to another closely related article. Considering the Dow Jones, matter of fact, let's just get an exact amount. 16,151. It's showing that it's down 364 points in 1 day's trading today. So the last number here is 16,151. We're going to round that off to 16,000. Just for the sake of this argument I'm about to make. Zero Hedge article, the Dow is now down 1,600 points from New Year's exuberant highs. So in other words, January 1st, roughly, they've got a nice little chart here. And I think I'm gonna print it for you and show it. Let me just add this puppy real quick. Here we go. Let's take a little gander at that, shall we? So we have where that little dotted or dashed line here starts, looks like it's the very end of December. It is the very end of December. And from that point all the way down, you can kiss 1,600 points goodbye. You can kiss 1,600 points goodbye. Isn't that amazing? And how many days is that? Because this goes to, well, the 13th. That would be right now, today, which, again, you're going to see this video tomorrow. 1,600 points. All right, so the point that I was going to make, let me get on back here. Let me get back to the studio. And there's not even any, there's no comments. Like, I mean, there's no additional information on the article. Okay, that's it. Here's a chart. Here's the subject matter, title, done. That's all here Zero Hedge needs to post. They don't have to comment on this. I'll do the commenting. How about that? In a matter of 2 weeks, less than, you mean to tell me 10% roughly 10% has been wiped off the Dow? 10% wiped off the Dow Jones in a mere 13 days, whatever. Yeah, it's exactly what's happened. Because again, if we have a 16,000 Dow, which I understand it's there now, not before the loss, but and you take away 1,600, that is exactly 10%. Granted, it was 17,600 something. So it's not quite 10% in that instance, but it's close enough for me to make a point. When CNN posts that $1 trillion has been wiped off the face of the earth in the very beginning of 2016, and it is the very beginning of 2016, just a few days ago, we had freaking New Year's. And I can sit here and look at a chart that shows 1,600 points off the Dow in 12 to 13 days? What? Are you kidding me? And remember, the Federal Reserve did its little interest rate maneuver at the end of December. And I find it almost funny. Two things. As I said before about Paul Ryan, new Speaker of the House, he's going to, remember, he hates Obamacare. He's going to handle that puppy. They just had a vote. And it got past the entire Congress. House and Senate passed it. Get rid of Obamacare and defund Planned Parenthood. Get that turned out here. Planned Parenthood. Both items the president's going to veto. And he can't just pick or choose. So even if he could, it wouldn't matter because he would veto it for either or. They're both his puppies. Planned Parenthood is his deal. And Obamacare, that's his deal for sure. It's got his damn name in it. That was his big push, right? So the House and Senate came to, in Congress came together. Bipartisanship. We did this for the people. And Paul Ryan can now say, hey, I told you I was going to go for it. I got the votes together. We passed that sucker. But the president vetoed it. So hold on a second. You don't think that was the damn plan from the beginning, do you? And these rotten politicians on the left and the right already knew this, which is why they came together. Guys, we know it's going to fail. The president's going to veto it. Let's make the American people think we're going to do something so they can vote us back in again next time. They'll be pleased with us. So exactly, that's exactly what happened. He vetoed it. So fast forward to the what was the other thing that audit the Fed. Audit the Fed bill. Rand Paul. Go, yeah, let's get him. Pass the House, okay. Senate, Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. So they couldn't come together on that one. I mean, after all, they could just... You could have, and then President Obama, you're gonna veto that one too. Yeah, I got it. So historic legislation has passed the House and the Senate. President, he doesn't think we should audit the Fed, or maybe that was too much for him. So just kick that out with the Senate. Nothing has changed. You got your rotten, corrupt politics, and the politicians that run this country, bought and paid for 50 times over, each one of them, practically. Minus like a handful I could just put in my hand, barely. Like, seriously, that's how many good guys there are, so to speak, in there. That hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. The markets haven't changed. They've gotten worse. The manipulation and everything hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. The unfunded liabilities your country is suffering behind the scenes haven't changed. They've only gotten worse. But Lindsey Williams said end of 2050. I'll tell you what. How about you go get a brand new 401k out and dump as much money in it as you can. Forget the $1,600 drop, or 1,600 point drop in the Dow. Forget the fact that $1 trillion was just wiped off the face of the earth in a span of 10 to 12 days. I think, like I said before, when we saw the Shemitah thing and the blood moon end of September, dates in the movies all over the place, and then nothing happened, really. We did have a couple of hoax shootings and whatnot, but hell, that's normal nowadays. The next one will be here any minute. And I said, I think it was go time. I think that date and that whole esoteric and occult thing was like go time for the club. And I'll be damned if all kinds of stuff hasn't happened since then. And now we start the new year, just a 3-month time span later, and we're off to a worse than terrible start. It's because it's go time. The elite have decided it's go time. Like I said, that's the only reason the Federal Reserve did the whole interest rate nonsense to begin with at the end of December, middle of December. It was go time. If it wasn't go time, they would have came back out and said, yeah, we're still not going to raise the rates yet. But since they got orders from the club, it's going to be go time. Go ahead and go with it. They went with it. And how many stories have you read recently, by the way, about the Fed made a terrible decision, it was a bad decision, they shouldn't have done it, just like the Webbot said would happen. I'm your host, JSnip4. Take care.